All right, let's talk about something we could all use a little more of: calm. In this explainer, we're going to break down three simple but honestly pretty profound mental shifts that can lead to a more peaceful life.
So, does this feel familiar? Lurching from one little crisis to the next. A stressful email pings in, you hit a traffic jam, that deadline is just, looming. It feels like our nervous systems are just constantly on high alert, right? There's a great line from the source material that says to remind yourself, life isn't an emergency. But how do you actually feel that? How do you make that real? Well, the answer isn't what you might think. It's not about getting a bigger to do list, a fancier planner, or learning some new productivity hack. The secret? It's internal. It's all about changing the way we process the world around us. It's not about trying to control every little thing in life, but about controlling our perspective on it. That's the game changer. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to dive into three big shifts: letting go of control, choosing your response, and connecting with others. Then we'll wrap up with how to actually put this stuff into practice every day. All right, let's get into our first shift: letting go of control. This one is all about our inner world. It's about finding peace not by fighting with life, but by loosening that super tight grip we have on how we think things should be.
So here's a huge one: making peace with imperfection. Seriously, think about it. That constant chase for perfection, it's a massive source of stress. You cook a meal, and instead of just enjoying it, you're stressing because it's not Instagram worthy. We've got to learn to just appreciate the effort, the simple joy of doing something instead of chasing this impossible ideal. I love this idea: see the glass as already broken. Now, this isn't about being negative or pessimistic, not at all. It's actually about understanding that everything is temporary. Like when you hold your favorite mug, you know that one day it's going to break. And knowing that doesn't make you sad about the future. It makes you incredibly grateful for it right here, right now. It completely flips anxiety about losing things into just appreciating them while you have them.
So, really, this whole first shift boils down to acceptance. It means admitting that, hey, life isn't always fair, and that's okay. It means getting comfortable not knowing everything. It means stopping the blame game and just being open to what is, instead of constantly fighting it. Okay, on to our second shift, which builds right on top of the first one: choosing your response. There's this tiny little gap between something happening and how we react to it. And mastering that little space, that's everything. It's how you move from a mindless reaction to a thoughtful action.
Okay, so what's the difference? A reaction, that's that instant flash of anger when some guy cuts you off in traffic, right? It's totally automatic. But a response, that's chosen. That's when you take a breath, you feel the frustration, and then you consciously decide, nope, not gonna let this ruin my day. One is like being a puppet on a string, and the other is you taking back the controls. So, how do we actually create that space? It's all about the pause. Something happens, let's say a coworker sends a snarky email. Before you fire back a defensive reply, you just breathe, count to 10. That tiny little interruption breaks the whole automatic reaction circuit and gives you the power to choose a better, calmer response. It sounds so simple, but it's totally life-changing.
And a huge piece of this puzzle is understanding this idea of separate realities. You have to get that two people can go through the exact same thing and have completely different feelings about it. Why? Because everyone's seeing the world through their own unique filter: their background, their beliefs, their mood that day. Once you really get that, it's the first step to real empathy and way less conflict. And the fix for that? It's simple. Listen first. Instead of just waiting for your turn to talk or jumping in to defend yourself, just try to understand where they're coming from. When you actually try to see the world from their separate reality, you're not just cutting down on arguments, you're building way, way stronger connections. All right, our third and final shift. This one's about turning our focus outwards. It's kind of funny, but you can find a ton of personal calm when you stop focusing so much on yourself and start building real connections with other people. Okay, think about the last argument you had. Was it really that important to prove you were right? So often, our need to win an argument just damages the relationship and messes with our own peace of mind. Choosing to be kind instead of being right doesn't mean you're a pushover. It just means you value harmony more than your ego. And look, connection doesn't have to be some big, dramatic thing. It's all about small, everyday actions. Smiling at a stranger, doing a small favor for someone and expecting nothing back, genuinely thanking the person who makes your coffee, or telling a friend one thing you admire about them. These tiny acts pull our focus away from our own problems and onto other people.
And this ties right back to letting go of our ego, doesn't it? When you can just let someone else be right about something small, you let go of so much tension. When you can cheer for a coworker's success without needing to point out your contribution, man, that builds so much trust and just lowers your own stress levels. Humility is seriously a superpower for a calm life.
So, the big question, how do we make any of this stick? Well, it all comes down to practice. There's a great saying, you become what you practice most. If you practice complaining all the time, guess what? You get really good at complaining. But if you practice these little shifts, bit by bit, you become a calmer person. It's that simple. So let's do a super quick recap. We're shifting from needing control to accepting what is. We're moving from mindless reactions to thoughtful actions. And we're going from being self-centered to being empathetic and kind. It's all right here. So I want to leave you with this one question. Don't try to do all of this at once. That's just overwhelming. Instead, just ask yourself, what's one small thing I can practice today? Just today. Maybe it's letting go of some tiny imperfection, or taking that one deep breath before you reply to an email, or maybe just telling someone you appreciate them. That's it. The whole journey to a calmer life, it really does start with one single simple choice.